Hello and welcome to Running Loose, our brand new podcast. I'm Francesca Cumani.
And I'm Vanessa Ryle.
And this is a podcast loosely based on the sport of horse racing.
Very loosely based, if we're being honest. I feel quite proud of the fact that I have taken your podcast virginity.
Well, you have.
Because I talked to a brick wall if I could. Two friends shooting the breeze about the industry we work in. We're going to go down some rabbit holes. I was not born to blend in.
I've got photo evidence to prove it.
There'll be people listening to this podcast that they'll be listening out of intrigue, but they'll be thinking like, those two. You know, like you might like Marmite and I don't.
Well, the 2025 Cheltenham Festival, which is a major week in the world of horse racing. And at this time of year, I don't know about you, Vanessa, but all anybody wants to talk to me about is, have you got a tip for Cheltenham and what are you wearing?
I mean, I never feel as popular as I do this week, basically, and the week of Cheltenham.
How does your week look next week? Because you are all over it, because you're working 4 days and you're doing, 4 different jobs?
I mean, my week terrifies me. And I don't mean that in a positive way. I mean, I love national hunt racing. That's where my passion comes from, right? And I know you're a flat gal and all your glamour, but I like standing in a field and it's raining and you can't see anything because the fog's come down. You know, that's where I'm at my happiest.
You're really selling it.
Yeah, really selling it. But the week of Cheltenham, I'm super lucky. I do, because I'm a freelancer, I do various different bits and pieces, essentially. I do a morning podcast, which is very much about tipping. I'll then go into a hospitality box for a team of people that I've worked for a long time and do a bit of schmoozing, essentially. Laugh as you may, but yes, that's what that role is. For a couple of hours, drink a bit of champagne, tip a few horses, chat away, look good, ideally, if I can. And then I move on to my main role each day. We'll be working for 5 Live on the radio. Alongside Gina Bryce, 5 Live Extra.
I'm just exhausted even thinking about your week.
And then I cover there's a sale on the Thursday, which is a pretty big sale. It's their marquee sale of the national hunt season for Tattersalls. It's at Cheltenham's after racing. It's in the winner's enclosure, and I report on that for them.
And that's 4 days straight next week. Do you have any energy to go out in the evenings?
Oh,
it's quite a big social week,
no.
isn't it? No, where do you stay? Where do you hang out? Do you go home?
Yeah, I stay at home, I go home. And the laugh being that anybody listening to this who actually knows me, I used to give it such a kick. I used to go to Cheltenham. I mean, ask anyone. By Thursday, my voice was always gone because I'd been roaring home, losers, winners, whatever, the Tuesday, Wednesday, gone out every night. I'd rock in on Thursday, never had a voice. By Friday, there's been Fridays where I've had to just go home because I can't contribute to any conversation. And this was pre-working, and it's amazing how in that moment, all you want to do is work there. And then when you're working there, all you want to do is go and have a drink with your mates.
Don't they say you shouldn't work in your passion because then it becomes about work and not really passion anymore. But
and then I guess jealous of you in the Guinness Village.
I know, we are quite lucky to get to work in an environment that we really enjoy. And yes, next week for me, because I focus more on the flat, got three young children, decided to take the winter a bit more easily. I get to enjoy it. Yeah. So
Go on. So what's enjoying it look like for Francesca Cumani at Cheltenham?
I'm going to watch the first 2 days on telly, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday I have been very kindly invited to a box. So going to enjoy all the hospitality. Going to try and leave Yorkshire early Thursday morning because the real tradition for us is to go to the Guinness Village before lunch.
I don't know. The image of you in a Guinness Village. Is that
the Guinness
legit?
Village? Yes, I've got photo evidence to prove it. Everyone always does that. They go to me.
I'm judging you.
Why are you holding a pint of Guinness? I'm like, well, why not?
And what about are you not worried that someone might spill Guinness on you?
That's all part of it. Like, sure.
Getting stuck in. I don't drink Guinness, so I never really got stuck into the Guinness Village.
I heard there was going to be a potential shortage of Guinness at the festival this year, which is quite a disaster. I think I read...
Maybe that's just panic, people panicking you.
Yeah, I know. I think I read, what was it last year, 265,000 pints?
I mean, that number doesn't shock me at all.
Enough to fill 3 Olympic
Bearing in mind, when you look down, wow, that's quite shocking.
That's a lot.
When you look down on the Guinness Village, maybe from the grandstand side, I mean, it's just rammed all day with a sea of people, men essentially, but I'll look out for you in there.
So you sink 1 or 2 pints of Guinness and then go for lunch, quite merry. And it's very spoiling to be invited to a nice box, have lunch. But then I always like to kind of get out and go and see the horses in the parade ring and get in amongst it. Actually, I think it was last year, was it, or the year before, that I did that. I went to the parade ring to go and look at the horses for one of the big races, and I was literally like going in, and the stewards on the gates were like, no, sorry, you haven't got the right badge. And because, like you would know, so used to working at the races and just having all the accreditation that you're meant to have, I was like, right, okay, sure. And then there were people around, it was quite a crowded area, and this Irishman pipes up and goes, that's Francesca Cumani, she can go wherever she likes. The poor girl on the gate was like, okay.
God, Francesca having to be one of the people.
I know, having to watch on from the side. So that was quite unusual. And then, so that's Thursday, and then staying with a friend who lives locally, Thursday night, bit of a party going on a Thursday night. And then Friday coming back got a few different lovely invitations. So Guinness Village again, nice and early. And then going to pop into, got lunch with another friend, and on we go. And it's Gold Cup day, and it's going to be a brilliant day. More importantly, have you sorted out all your outfits?
No. And it's stressing me out. I mean, we're literally recording this on the Tuesday, and
got a week to go.
And 4 outfits.
How far
4 outfits, right?
How far? Give me the basis.
It's panicking me. 4 outfits, but it's not even so normally I roll with that thing of you just need a good coat. Good coat because you stood outside all day. But that's not going to be the case for me this year because of those 4 different jobs I'm doing.
Yeah, you're inside, outside.
It serves me right for being just like a media whore, doesn't it? But honestly, it's just like, it does serve me right. But, so I need to be able to, take a coat off and look good in the box for an hour and then put a coat back on and still be warm.
Yeah,
so,
it's like 2 outfits in one.
Here's where we're at.
Okay.
And it's sort of, there's a cape.
Okay.
There's some gloves. I think the skirt is not long.
Okay. Okay, well actually we should just point out, because it's a big racing festival, people do get very dressed up, but unlike Royal Ascot, for example, there are no rules, right? This is a Jockey Club racecourse. Across all Jockey Club racecourses, there are no rules, but there is a kind of informal dress code, right? Which is what?
What? Good question. I think the thing is it's a case of like come as you are, as in there are nobody's going to tell you you're not wearing the right thing. That's the point you're making.
So you could literally go in jeans and trainers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you can. Yeah.
Okay.
But people won't, because people love to get dressed up, right? But of course, everyone just wears tweed, and everyone wears rubbish tweed, and they all look the same, and the same boots, and the same tan bag. And I just look at it, and I'm just like, I was not born to blend in.
Okay.
I just can't lean into it. I'd almost rather get it a bit wrong than blend in.
Great.
Do you see what I'm saying?
See these outfits next week.
No.
So that's day one. Is she finished this theme? Is she all done?
Yeah, I think she's done.
Cape.
So it's a cape,
gloves,
and there's a skirt, and it's like matchy, and then there's sort of like a long glove was the plan with a fur collar, thick black tights, and black boots.
Very hat.
And I don't know about the hat yet.
Okay. Hat's essential or not essential?
Not essential. I wear a hat just because, trying to be smart for a couple of the roles, but definitely not essential.
Okay, that's
you
day
won't
one.
Bother, will you?
Well, I'll actually tell you what I'm wearing in a minute. Day 2?
Day 2, maybe an orange wide leg trouser with a cropped fur black jacket.
Ooh, okay.
With a like black pussy bow popping out the top. And maybe like a black headband, potentially with a veil, if I'm thinking mafia chic.
Mafia chic, okay.
Yeah.
What's the theme on the 3rd day?
Quite country. So
English?
This is as close as I'm going to get, I think, to like looking like everyone else.
Okay, no tweed?
No tweed, no, but sort of like a beige, maybe another wide leg trouser, a bit samey, with a sort of caramel kind of A-line jacket down to like mid-thigh. Again, like maybe a brown fur collar and potentially a trilby.
Mm-hmm. And then Friday, you say the best for last?
Absolutely.
I haven't even thought about it yet.
No.
Okay.
No, Friday will be a panic buy. Buy. Essentially what will happen here, I'm telling you right now, is all of the money I earn over the 4 days, approximately 2/3 of it will have been spent before the 4 days kicks off on panic buying items to attempt to not look like everyone else.
Right. And where do you go for buying your bits?
Oh, everywhere, from like all the regular high street places like a M&M or a Zara, all those places, to at least 2 of my coats are vintage, bought them online, just literally good luck, bought them, and if they were cheap enough that if they don't suit.
And shoes, boots?
Not good. That is not a good area for me because I have size 9 feet.
9? Size 9 feet.
Like sort of.
Is that like off the... No, well, I'm 7, so it's not that much bigger.
I'm a Euro 43. It's a nightmare.
So then what, do they stop making shoes when you get to size 9?
Like for Euro 42. And like, it's so hard to get a shoe that's comfortable, that doesn't make me look like a giant or a transvestite. No offense to either giants or transvestites. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily the look I'm going for. People...
But you're tall, so you can kind of, it balances out. It's
Yeah.
not like you've got great big boats and you're short.
No, I mean,
So it's all in
Francesca,
proportion.
it's not like I'm walking around and people are like, oh, she's got big
Now
feet.
looking at your feet,
Oh,
I mean, they
nice
look
hair,
quite
but big
normal.
feet. It's all in proportion, all right?
Maybe hence the wide leg trouser. Does it kind of help kind of blend into the shoe boot
Yeah,
scenario?
maybe the shoe boot stuff. Very limited access to shoes that really work. Have to have a low heel because I am so tall. And so, you know, the whole thing. And then on top of all of that, because of the 5 Live work, you have an headpiece on, quite a like sophisticated radio headpiece with a microphone.
Interferes with the head.
And so that is tricky if you've done your hair, or, you know, there's all these things to think about. I mean, first world problems, let's
And
be
the
honest.
weather is actually the biggest thing you have to think about at Cheltenham, because it is that kind of weird time of year, isn't it, where it can be a lovely sunny day like today, and you go with all your furs and coats, and then you're suddenly boiling, which is better than actually the other way around.
The other way
when
around,
when
because
you're freezing.
you must have been on air, right? You must be on air where you have this moment where you get so cold, you know, you're wondering if your mouth is actually moving to pronounce the words.
And the worst is the hands
and the
as
hands,
well.
and then my nose starts running.
Oh, the nose, always. And a collection of kind of soggy tissues
And
kind of in my pocket
dad
somewhere.
always texts me saying, like, blow your nose. I'm like, I've done it 54 times.
Now it's going red and I've got to powder it.
horrendous. And my eyes start watering. I mean,
I feel like we've gone off on a bit of a tangent. So just to bring it back,
yes.
you actually haven't asked me what I'm wearing next week.
Sorry, and I care dearly. Mainly because people look at you. People look at you and they're like, what's Francesca wearing? But I don't have that same effect.
I only got 2 days to think about, and I haven't really thought about them at all, except that my very lovely friend, who also dresses me for a lot of summer race meetings, has sent me a few things. So I have something kind of sugar puff monster.
What?
It's like blue and fluffy. What's that kind of like woolly, like
What, like...
fluff?
I'm terrified.
Yeah.
No, like shearling.
Yes, I
Is
think
it?
so. Yeah. Some very high-waisted trousers.
What,
and a
are they
white
wide
shirt.
leg?
Yeah, they are actually.
Damn right.
They are. And I don't know what shoes to wear, but I'll find something. And so as a result, I don't think I can wear a hat because there's so much going on here, like up to my chin, that I think you'll kind of lose me if I wear a hat.
Yeah, okay.
And then actually the next day, I don't really know.
Okay, well, that was insightful.
No. Well, anyway, and so that is, we cover the fashion, but we need a good tip from you. We need something that people are going to go and have their £20 on, £200, whatever they like, at a juicy price, and they can really give it a good cheer.
I mean, every Tom, Dick and Harry calls you up and says, can we have a tip? You know, even my brother contacts me. My brother never contacts me. See, that just sets the standard.
Well, you're obviously quite good at it.
Oh, steady now, steady.
How's the form?
The form is all right. And the Martin Pipe, the handicap, is it just before or just after the Gold Cup on the Friday?
Ooh.
A horse called Woodoo of Gordon Elliott's.
Okay.
She's got a remarkable, I mean, as a side note for any casual viewers out there, in a handicap, not necessarily you want to be with a horse who's won a load of races, because essentially they're not very unexposed. She's won a load of races, but she kind of only does really enough, and she just keeps winning. Okay. And I think she will win the Martin Pipe.
It's actually the last race on the last day.
You're all right. Don't be,
no, but that's good, because it's like the kind of
good things come to those who wait.
State.
Yeah, I think she's about 6-7 to 1. She's kind of been tipped up a little bit more with the preview nights. The preview nights, the thing is you get people. Yeah, there's so many preview nights out there, and you get, you know, trainers and jockeys on a few pints making outlandish comments, and all of a sudden, like, prices are tumbling left, right, and centre. So you've got to kind of keep across that.
A race that you nearly won a lot of money on back in the day.
I'm not sure. I think back then it was a different.
Oh, it was a different
I think
race
it was
the
different. Yeah, but that story is dreadful. Oh God, it's actually so sad when I think about it. It's a miracle I'm here and still working and racing, because I was like the biggest Corto Star fan in the history of the world back in the day.
He was an absolute champion.
Yeah,
National Hunt horse.
Loved
him. 06, 07, that kind of time?
06 or 7, 08, that sort of time. Anyway. Absolutely loved him, and I was just a fan of racing, just used to watch it at home on television. That was it. No racing background, family not into racing, nothing like that. So not a Nepo baby like yourself.
Thanks.
Someone chance to say
Thanks.
it. Come on. So, not an Nepo baby. So,
I thought we were friends. I mean, this could be the first and last podcast. You know?
Imagine if that's just it. Done. No, so I was just a big racing fan, and I was desperate to go to Cheltenham Festival, and so my mum said she'd come with me, and because I was just a teenager and didn't know anyone in racing. Literally, I just wanted to go to Cheltenham Festival. And so we went on Gold Cup Day, and I think it must have been, I want to say 2008, but it's actually embarrassing I haven't got that right. But anyway, it was the year Imperial Commander won the Gold Cup, because I went there to watch Corto Start win the Gold Cup, and he did not, because Imperial Commander won the Gold Cup. And I was crestfallen, and it was freezing cold, and it started raining just after the Gold Cup, and I was like not well dressed at all. And I went with my mum, and it should have been like a really special, I'd love to be able to tell you a story. It was my first Cheltenham Festival being this wonderful experience, and it just wasn't. It was totally shit. Like, it was just shit day. And I was a brat about it as well, and I wanted to go home. And my mum was like, oh no, come on, we'll stay, like, we're here now, we'll stay. But I was being such a brat in hindsight. Anyway, it's dreadful, isn't it, to reflect. My mum wanted to have a bet in the last race, and she was at the paddock, and she saw this grey horse, little tubby grey, and she was like, oh, I'm going to back that. And I was like, Mum, don't be ridiculous. It's 50-1. Let's just go home. I was just being a dick.
Stamping your foot.
Yeah. And so we didn't, I don't think we quite went home. I think we watched the race, but she didn't have the bet because I put her off. And the horse won. It was called Pigeon Island, also trained by Nigel Twiston-Davis, who'd just won the Gold Cup. The yard just in great form. Just a great day for them at 50-1. And my mum, she wasn't fuming. It's like her daughter, but it just was the cherry on top of a shit cake, basically. And that was my first Cheltenham Festival. How wild is that? Things have improved since. Okay, good. It is going to be amazing. Galloping Deschamps going for a third Gold Cup. It's going to be a day to be there. That's going to be like a I was there moment, because it's highly likely to happen, as the betting suggests. And I just feel it. It's happening, and we will reflect on it and be like, we were there when he won his third Gold Cup.
3 Gold Cups has been done before, hasn't it?
Most
have they been done in a row?
Best mate.
Like 3 years in a row?
Yeah.
Okay. So it won't be making history.
No.
It'll be equaling history?
Equally, yeah.
And is there a chance he can come back for another one?
Yeah.
Okay. And he's trained by Willie Mullins, the all-conquering Willie Mullins, who literally cleans up at every Cheltenham Festival in recent times. Is he going to do that again?
I mean, every year we build up to it, and we like to pretend that maybe it won't happen, and you start giving other horses and other trainers a chance. And then, honestly, by day one, it'll be, well, Willie Mullins will probably win the first 2 races, could easily win 4 races on day one. It'll be Irish domination, and it's the same story all over again.
But day one is really all about one horse, isn't it?
Constitution Hill.
Yeah.
You say that,
isn't it?
No,
surely he's like the biggest name going into the festival.
He is for sure, he is. But now that the news has come through that Bryce Days Ahead takes him on, I think she's like, I mean, God, we said at the top, this isn't going to be a tipping podcast, but for me, like, it's going to be a great race. It's going to be a proper, truly run champion hurdle. When I say that, because she's got a pacemaker in there, and she needs to go flat out from the get-go, really. It's going to be a real test of a proper 2-mile champion hurdle, and Constitution Hill, I feel, will need to be at his peak to reel her back in.
And that's the question, isn't it? Is he as good as he was a couple of years ago? So if you're approaching it from a betting angle, what kind of races are you looking for?
Well, I think with the championship races, you can just, you can play the each-way markets. I mean, I don't think the champion hurdle will be an each-way play, because I think it was too small a field. But the Stayers hurdle definitely will be. And the Gold Cup, again, are you going to get 8 runners? But away from that, the other Grade 1 races will be pretty deep fields in behind the favourite at the top. So then I love looking for the each-way play, something at a bigger price to run into the places. Loads of bookmakers offer you extra place races, so you can, the big handicaps might go down to 5 or even 6 places in some of them. So, if you get a 22-1 shot to hit the board, you'd be delighted. Will you have a bet this week?
I just, probably not.
Too smashed in the Guinness Village.
Yeah, too smashed, it will all blurry. If anything, I like having a bet if I've really studied it and looked at it properly. Not that that's a great recipe for success. And then most of the time I just won't get around to it.
And what about paddocks when you're amongst the people, because you can't go inside? If you see something you really fancy, like would you be that sort of person?
National Hunt racing much less, you get much less of a guide from the paddock than in flat racing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because you can look at them and be like, well, that one looks, you know, a bit wintry still, or it's lacking a bit of condition or whatever, and it doesn't seem to ring as true as it does on the flat.
No, because Willie Mullins always look dreadful and then win
I'm
everything
glad you
anyway.
said it.
Yeah, I'll say it.
You said it.
Yeah.
I always find on flat races, it's more indicative. So if they look bad, they often don't really run that well. And if they look well, they often run better. So I feel you get more of a guide on the flat.
And so tell me, we've a bit of horse racing chat there for sure. But in terms of the Racegoer experience, how do people, like, other than the Guinness Village, which we've covered, and you obviously have a bit of an elite experience because you're going off to your box, but people who go racing and want to really enjoy it, there's the shopping village to get stuck into.
I wondered if you were going to mention the shopping village, because I wrote down my 3 favourite things about Cheltenham, the things to experience. So yeah, I do love the Guinness Village. And then for me, although I've said I am going to a box both days and I'm very lucky to have been invited, I love the experience of standing in the stands and watching the races there, especially first race on the first day. It's the Supreme Novices Hurdle, and the roar that goes up is sensational. I mean, if you want to really feel the excitement on a race day, that is the one to be at, because there's such a kind of big anticipation, big build up to the first day of Cheltenham, so much chat and all the rest of it, that when you're there in the stands, ready to go, and the crowd kind of gets this pent-up build-up, and the horses are circling. Normally there's a full start, right?
I love
because
that.
they're all
and the
so
false
excited.
roar as a result.
Yeah, false roar. And so then they literally just get this crescendo of a roar, and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's just the most amazing feeling. And then boom, the Cheltenham Festival is underway, and it's great. You've got to do that. And then I think the winners' enclosure is brilliant at Cheltenham, because they come back in, they pull up, they come back in that long walkway, and then they come under the arch into the paddock. And what's great, and what I think a lot of people like about National Hunt racing, especially compared to the flat, is that it's a very knowledgeable crowd. They really love their horses. These horses come back year after year. So to have an old favourite like Galopin des Champs, or even a Constitution Hill, or any of the other big names coming back in, the jockey stands up in their stirrups, waves their whip around, the crowd goes nuts, and there's a lovely celebration of the horse and real enjoyment for what they've witnessed on the track.
Yeah. No, agreed. And you can't help but kind of get swept up in that moment as well.
Yeah.
When you're there, you know, you can talk, we talk about it for weeks and months beforehand. And then when you get there and you have a real moment like that, and it doesn't always happen, it doesn't always click, you know, it's kind of a variety of different things. A favourite has to win generally to get that response. An old favourite, ideally, like you say, some of the names you've mentioned, that, you know, I know it sounds ridiculous, but when you get a sunny day and the weather's nice and people aren't cold and they're happy to come out, it kind of, everything has to fall right, and then you get that moment, and it's so cool.
So for you, other must-dos at Cheltenham?
Yeah, so shopping village, bizarrely, I actually love a wander around there.
Yeah.
There's some really unique stuff in there. I've picked up a few really unique things. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
a ring, a favourite ring of mine I bought from the Cheltenham Festival shopping village. And it's great. Basically, you bump into loads of people you know as well. It's like walking into a sort of social bar that's also shopping.
Yeah.
So you go for a wander around, see a few people. So I go a bit of shopping village. In terms of viewing a race, randomly, you know, the chute that goes obviously out onto the track. The lads and lasses stand on the left there. There's a little tiny lads and lasses stand. And the sort of connections that are really close to the horses, lead them up, maybe riding the sort of stand in and around there on that bend, literally. And if you're in the public, if you go down to that corner, there's a row of bookies. So you can have a bet on your way down. You go from the paddock, have a bet on the way down with the bookies, and then stand in the corner there. And you're so close to the people that are the closest to the horses.
That's nice.
And it's really nice. I mean, just because, you know, we can say it because we work in the industry. Like you said earlier, I'm allowed to go wherever. So I go and walk down the chute and stand there. And the, you know, really fun tradition is, you're up in the paddock, you see the horse you like, you walk down, the bookies will give you a bet on the other side, so when you're in the actual chute bit, so have a bet with the same bookie, and then go and stand in that little area.
And talk about getting close up to the action. For the cross-country race, which is a bit unique, they go a very different wiggly route in the infield. You can actually go across as a member of the public and stand really near the jumps and have a look at it all, can't you?
Yeah, it's that is really fun to do, and you have to go across quite early because you have to be across there before the horses come out onto the track, so that's a tip. And then you also have to be aware that you're not allowed back across until all the horses have come back in, which sounds straightforward, but obviously if there's a faller or anything like that, then I think you have to stay where you are. But is a great experience because, as you say, you're up close to the actual horses flying past. You can't believe how fast they go, and they go really slow in a cross-country race, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, relative.
So, yeah, relative, exactly. And also, we always joke that it's like the worst job in horse racing to be on a front runner in the cross-country race. Have you seen that map? I mean...
I know someone who rode in it and got lost. They went the wrong way.
Of course they did.
And they were on a favourite.
Really?
Yeah.
But yeah, of course they did, because that is mental. Like, how does anybody know what they're doing? Yeah. And then, if I'm sat in second, imagine being sat in second, you're just trusting that the yoke in front is going the right course. He might not be. There's a high risk that he might not be.
That's true.
I just think it's a horrendous race from that point of view.
And a lot of the jockeys are quite sniffy about it.
Yeah,
the times I have worked on ITV during the festival, the likes of AP McCoy and Mick Fitzgerald and Ruby Walsh, I think they all think it's a bit gimmicky, which I don't know. I think it's different and it's fun. And
I think it's great. I think it's great. It's great to show off something different. And those people who say it's gimmicky, I don't know. They probably just haven't won it or had a chance to win it.
It was fun because there's like banks and
cheese wedges, like chase hedges. Everything. Yeah,
everything a bit different.
But you broadcast at Cheltenham a good bit.
I have done. Yeah, I have done.
And do you enjoy the experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I think to be in the middle of a week like that, where you've got the best of the best trainers, horses, jockeys, everything involved is amazing. But also they do talk about that atmosphere at Cheltenham, which probably makes it a bit more of a thing than Royal Ascot, which, don't get me wrong, is amazing. And I've been to all the big racing carnivals around the world, and they're all great in their own regard. But I do love that love for the horse at Cheltenham, and quite a knowledgeable crowd. And
any shockers there whilst you were there? Anything?
I'm sure there were. So basically, for me, I spent most of my 20s and 30s in the winters in Australia because I was going out there doing their racing. And so ask me anything you like about Australian racing and trainers and all the rest of it. But I essentially missed out on all the winter season stuff. So when I came back and ITV wanted me to do the jumps racing, it was a serious case of cramming. And when it's not familiar, it's hard, because I'm meant to be talking about something like an expert, which you're not. And I think I said in one of them, after Gordon Elliott had like, I don't know, his first or second winner of the week, I said, and he's really, one of the big up and coming names in jump racing. And they were like, yeah, no, he's definitely arrived. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh God, it's the worst, isn't it? I mean, the thing is when you're doing our job, it happens to me day in, day out, like even at the smaller tracks. I was at Wolverhampton last night, right? And just as a side note here, Luke Morris is on the search for his 500th winner at Wolverhampton. Flat jockey Luke Morris. And he's been on 499 for, I think at this point, like 3 weeks. Last race of 9 at Wolves last night, 8:30. And he looks like he's going to win on Wedgwood.
You're like, at least this is giving me something to talk about.
Yeah, quite. I'm like, thank God we've got something to discuss at last night. And he gets collared on the line by a £7 claimer.
Oh, no.
Right?
£7 claimer being a really inexperienced
jockey. And so they go over the line, and of course, you know what it's like. So they say, cue Vanessa, and you're there to give the reaction. In the moment, I was like, oh my God, I won't cope. I just won't cope if he's being beat, because it was a photo finish. I think he's been beat. This is dreadful.
You're saying this on air?
I was like, this is dreadful. I think because we'd hammed it up so much beforehand, and then he goes to win his race, and it's a photo finish, and he's being collared. Like, I knew he'd been collared. It just makes me laugh, because then some guy on Twitter was like, oh, grow up, Vanessa. Like, grow up at Vanessa Ryle, like, sort of tagged me in it and was like, just give the result and the price of the race. And I thought to myself, like, it's amazing how, I know we're in a really privileged position, but it does link it back to, like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Do you know what I mean?
No, but hang on, wait, there's a few things there. Because firstly, I think a legitimate, authentic reaction is good.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Especially like we're talking about a Class 6 at Wolverhampton.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to say?
Exactly. And
like,
often I feel like we, especially in England, because I've done quite a lot of work in other countries, but we kind of are a little bit too kind of polite and unemotional about it. Because if you're watching at home, essentially we are in the entertainment business. You want to be entertained. So I think that kind of reaction is great. And you're kind of feeling with him, you're empathetic, it's something that you've built up, and you're having a reaction. But also I want to pick up on the fact that, do you do that? Like, do you finish a show and go straight on Twitter and see what people have said?
Oh, not generally, but this person, I don't know, I just saw it when I got into bed, actually. And it's dreadful, isn't it? Imagine doing a day at work. Like, you've done your day at work, you've like been pretty good. You've done all your prep, like happy days. Or not good, but you've just done your job. And then like your last thought at night is like you check Twitter. I mean, it's like a toxic trait. Just don't do it. It should be like a life lesson. Just don't do it.
For all the people who are watching you and think you're great, they're not going to go on Twitter and go, oh,
you're great.
You're great.
No, of course.
Are they? So there's going to be a couple of people who want to have a go at you for some reason, and they'll have a reason to have a go. And you might get 100 lovely comments on that day's work, and you might get one that says something not very nice, and the one that isn't very nice sticks with you. So
and there'll be people listening to this podcast that they'll be listening out of intrigue, but they'll be thinking like, those two, but at the end of the day, like, not, the point being that like you might like Marmite and I don't, and there's different different platforms and different opportunities for different people, and
this year hopefully only going to get better. I'm wishing you like a lot of strength and a lot of energy and a lot of
do you know what
the real
throat lozenges on the Barocca. You know what the real kicker is?
What?
The real kicker is I'm at Wolves on the Saturday night for Sky, and it'll be a 9-race card.
Oh.
Off the back of the 4 days of the Cheltenham Festival.
Oh, you are a workhorse.
I am a workhorse, but it's like jack of all trades, master of none type situation.
Hopefully the Wolverhampton 9-race card will help pay for the last outfit that you're going to panic buy for the Friday of Cheltenham. Well, honestly, I hope to see you there.
You won't. I'll be busy, and you'll be in the Guinness Village. I'll be swerving that, and you'll be like rocking and rolling down there.
Well, either way, have a great week.
Thank you.
Don't exhaust yourself too much. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much to Caroline Bedell here at Farnborough Hall. This is the kitchen table of dreams.
Yeah.
And
I feel quite proud of the fact that I have taken your podcast virginity.
Well, you have. It's been good. I've enjoyed it. The V plates have come up.
And you're keen to go again as well.
And I'm keen to go again. Yeah. Well, hopefully people are keen to have a listen.
Well,
and tune
fingers
in
crossed, but if not, we'll just plough on anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Because when we see each other next, we'll reflect on Cheltenham. I think we're going to have a lot of stories.
I'm going to have some stories. Trust me, I'll have some stories.
I feel like I now need to make sure I have some stories to
But now we're doing this as well, I definitely have already in my notes on my phone written down like little anecdotes and stuff. Obviously, this show's been quite like Cheltenham-centric, rightly so.
Yeah.
But going forward, we'll be going down a fair few different rabbit holes, and I have tales to tell.
I like it. And there's so much to discuss because, yes, we're coming towards the kind of pinnacle of the jump season. We've got Cheltenham. We've also got the Grand National in April. But in between that, we've got the start of the flat season. So that's at the end of March at Doncaster at Lincoln. It's kind of like the start, but it's not quite the start.
You're going to have to go back to work.
I'm going to have to go back to work. It's going to be a nasty shock to the system.
Big deal. Get off your sun lounger. Go back to work.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Basically, we're just going to have loads of talking points. Weekly shows coming your way. It's going to be great. Stories to be told. This is just episode 1.
Of many. Make sure you subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And we can't wait to see you next time.